Well, here we go again. Hi, welcome back to Extraordinary Times. For those of you who don't know, I am Jeremy, and, let's get started with it. Our first story today, I wanted to talk about the Israel-Palestine conflict again, because, well, they've had a ceasefire and they're being good-ish right now, but Benjamin Netanyahu, doing what Benjamin Netanyahu does, if you don't know, he's the Prime Minister of Israel, decided to flex his I'm Israel muscles and take this little strip of land called, they call it E1. It connects the two parts of Palestine into one state. He's taken this little strip of 4 square miles, and he's like, hey, you know what? That actually belongs to Israel, so I'm going to put houses on it, and, all of y'all who want a contiguous Palestinian state can go stick it. It confuses me that this guy who, his primary interest, or at least it should be, is a peaceful Israel, and an Israel where people aren't shooting rockets into it. And I bring that up over and over because, it's the violence over there is on both sides. But the point of it is, his first interest should be peace, letting pettiness go, and just being, a good leader. And instead, he is kind of flexing his, if you call those muscles. The frightening part about that is that since doing that, all of a sudden places like France and Britain are threatening to take their diplomats out of Israel. And for those of you who don't know, internationally, if you take your diplomats away from a place, you refuse to acknowledge it as a sovereign country. That's something that we've done with Cuba and a bunch of other places. And, America's kind of douchey like that. Just kidding, but not really. But I love America. Moving on. So, for those of you who are excited for The Hobbit like I am, apparently mixed reviews are coming out from the world premiere that happened in New Zealand. For those of you who don't know, a lot of the film is shot in New Zealand. So, the reactions are kind of bipolar because there's people who really, really like the fact that it was shot in 48 frames a second, which is double what most movies are shot in. Moving on. And the frame rate and the 3D apparently is just messing with some people's minds, where their eyes can't take it all in, and for some people it's choppy, and they see things differently, whatever. But I am actually looking forward to it. I normally don't dig 3D because my eyes don't perceive 3D movies very well. Like real life, my dimension seeing is great, but if you try and fake it to me, all of a sudden it's like, whoa, I can't handle it. So I'm looking forward to it, but I might not see it in 3D because of that. I saw Alice in Wonderland in 3D, but I also sat like front row, so it was really weird, and and maybe that was just the fact that it was Alice in Wonderland. Just saying, Sir Ian McKellen. As for other movies that have good actors but maybe didn't do so well, Killing Them Softly came out this past weekend, and it made $7 million. Now, for those of you who don't know, $7 million is a lot of money, but when it comes to a movie, it's almost embarrassing, particularly when usually your lead actor gets paid more money than that for doing a single movie. Brad Pitt, I'm so sorry, man. You deserve better than that for a movie that you put, your hard-earned time into. So, if you want to support Brad Pitt, go see that movie. I have no interest in seeing it because, unless he's playing Rusty from the Ocean's movies or, Mr. Smith, I'm not really into Brad Pitt so much, but, he's alright. He just can't play Tyler Durden anymore. Unless they did like a Fight Club 2 with more soap. Now, I don't want to take a lot of time on Chris Brown because, well, he doesn't deserve it, but he apparently canceled his Twitter account last week, and it was funny because he got into a Twitter argument with a comedian who served it to him handily, but, then he deleted his account. Then all of a sudden, yesterday, after a week, he's like, well, I miss Twitter, so he reactivated his account. But he hasn't posted anything yet. He just reactivated his account because, his 7 million people who still follow him want to still follow him. I don't understand it, honestly. Chris Brown, who beats women, does not deserve 7 million people following him. They can come over here. Well, no, I probably wouldn't want the people that follow Chris Brown. Never mind. Just go away. All 7 million of you. Just saunter off. from someone who doesn't particularly deserve to breathe our air to South Africa, where a bunch of the farmers in South Africa are having to protest because apparently the police down there are not doing quite as much as they could or maybe should for the farmers who are being attacked and brutally murdered, and sometimes in front of their families, and sometimes then their families brutally murdered. It's a really big, hairy deal because it would seem that in South Africa, most of the farmers are what they call Afrikaneer, which are formerly Dutch people who moved down there, and so it's a bunch of white African people that are farming the land there. And they seem to be the victims of hate crimes, particularly racist hate crimes, where they are being hacked up and chopped up by gangs of other Africans who happen to be black. It's really frightening situation over there, and I fear for them, and I hope for them, and that is all I have to say about that right now. And in slightly less depressing news, the Vatican has decided to defrock one of their Austrian priests who was, he is a organizer of a group called Call for Disobedience, where they essentially believe in equal priesthoodship for females and believe that priests should be able to marry, and different, basically Protestant ideas that need to be addressed within the Catholic Church, and the Catholic Church allegedly has addressed them in certain ways, but not to the satisfaction of a lot of people that believe in these equalities. And priests wouldn't want to touch little boys if they had a nice young lady to touch, you know what I mean? That's their stance anyways. I'd love to hear what you guys think about all that jazz down there. You can comment, whatever. But to bring it all the way back up the top of feeling good before I let you go, the first guard of Buckingham Palace to not have the bearskin, really cool, super tall hat that all the other ones wear is going to be a Sikh man who is from India, but is now in the British Guard, and so him being a fully practicing Sikh has to wear a turban to protect his hair that they don't cut and they keep clean, and it's very tightly wound around his head, and it's a religious thing, so they're like, you know what, you're following your religion. Your religion's been around longer than this tradition of the bearskins has been around, so we'll let you do your thing as long as you do your Buckingham Palace Guard thing. So yeah, go freedom of religion in Britain. A lot of people think it's a police state, and well, it is, but at the same time, yay for some freedoms in the police state. Yeah. But that is all I really wanted to talk about today on Extraordinary Times. Thank you so much for watching. Comment down there and like and favorite, subscribe particularly. That helps us know that you're paying attention sometimes. And, well, until next time, be aware. Fight Club 2. Fightier? I'm really frustrated about this. Stop it. Stop it.